has got their own way and their own recipe of frying up chicken. And I do have earlier videos of frying chicken, and it was just a little bit a different recipe. But this is just your old-fashioned way of frying chicken. I used to fry up a chicken about once a week, and when the kids were home, I would have to fry 2 chickens up to get everybody fed. And now it's just me and Mr. Brown. Um, so I probably fry chicken maybe once a month. And it's not because we don't like fried chicken, we just don't eat as much of it anymore. And when I go to purchase a chicken, because we don't raise them to eat anymore, we don't have the all purpose dual chickens anymore. We just have egg layers. But we both grew up on a farm where not only did you get your eggs from your chickens, but you also fried up your chickens. And you even when your roosters were too mean or they just got too old, you boil them up or pressure cook them for making dumplings. So, but his grandma Brown um, always had, she raised chickens to eat, and she'd go out there and she'd butcher a few and put them in the freezer. But the one thing that she didn't do is she did not let them chickens get over maybe 2.5 pounds. And she knew by looking at them that it was time to butcher them and put them in the freezer. That's why I grew up absolutely loving a small, young chicken to fry up. You can tell by the legs, it just wasn't, this chicken here is just a little over 2 pounds. And that's just the way I like them. They're tender, they taste good, and there's just nothing like it. Now, they're hard to find in this area unless you do raise them yourself. This size, they're usually, especially the big box stores, they're grown so fast, and they're just anywhere from close to 4 pound chickens, and I just really don't care for them, so I don't hardly ever buy them. If I do, it's for boiling up for making dumplings or something like that, and I usually just look for a hen for that. But we do have some smaller grocery stores, especially over the Missouri line, where it's owner operator stores that they're not contracted out, I guess, to certain big companies. So they can buy these little chickens like this. And these were grown here in the United States. And they're not organic, but they were grown here. And they're just the right size. I've got here, now a lot of people will cut their chickens up. I'm just going to say this. A lot of people don't cut chickens up anymore. They'll buy it already cut up, or they're only going to buy, say, if they only like white meat, they're only going to buy the breast, or if they just like chicken legs, they're going to buy a big old thing of chicken legs, which I used to do a lot too, because to feed the kids, because they were cheaper. Chicken legs didn't hardly cost anything. It was a very cheap meal to feed the kids. So I'd buy the big family pack of chicken legs and fry them up for the kids. Some people just want maybe the chicken wing and a couple of legs, and that's me. Mr. Brown does like the thigh, and he will eat a breast, but he does like the back of the chicken too. Now, usually when I cut the back, cut a chicken up, I'll put that back and put it in the freezer to use when I'm making chicken stock. But he likes for me to fry it up sometimes too. But anyways, like I said, there's just so many ways, so many recipes that people use. It is pretty much the same recipe. They just add different ingredients. Some people will they'll cut their chicken up, or they'll buy it already cut up, and then they'll put it in a brine and soak them overnight. I'm not going to do that. I do have some very cold water here with about a tablespoon of salt in it. And as I cut my chicken up, and if you want to, you can cut this little part of the wing off, but I'm not going to. And I'm just going to throw it in the salt water while it's waiting on me to get the rest of the chicken cut up. Now, when you buy a whole chicken, generally, but not always, it just depends on where you're buying it at, a whole chicken to cut up is cheaper than buying it already cut up. So you're saving money there. But I can tell you, I used to fry a lot of chicken up, not only for my own family, but as being a lunch lady at school, we got a lot of chicken and commodity chicken. And those of y'all that worked in the lunchroom know exactly what I'm talking about, that commodity chicken. And we got a lot of it. And I would stand there, plumb till noon frying chicken for everybody. So when you're frying enough chicken for about 700 kids plus teachers and adults, you're going to stand there and fry a bunch of chicken. So I've been frying a lot of chicken for many years. But see how that little that chicken leg is? That's just the way I like them. I am a little particular about the size of my chickens when I go to fry them up. And when you're cutting this thigh off, what I do is I just take it and I bend it back till that bone pops. And then I'm going to go right through here and cut that thigh off. That's a little thigh. That's Mr. Brown's piece of meat right there. So I'm going to go to the other side of the chicken. I'm going to take that thigh and I'm just going to pop that bone just like that, where you can see it coming out. And we're going to cut that off. I know a lot of people that's never cut up a chicken, so don't let it intimidate you. You can do it. So what you got left now, since I cut the leg and the wings and the thigh off, you got your back and you got your two breasts right here on each side. I'm going to turn him or turn her on her head just like that. So you got the two breasts right here, and this is the back on this side. I'm going to go down through there and I'm going to cut this back off. Sometimes you can pop it off, pull it off. A lot of times I mess up and cut that wishbone, but that's okay. So I'm going to cut this piece of skin and we'll have our back piece just like that. Now, what he likes, and his grandma Gladys did too, is this very back right here has got meat right in here. And they call that what we call the oyster of the chicken. And it's a very, or some people call it the tenderloin of the chicken. It's a very tender little piece of meat. And so what I'm going to do with this back, because he likes to eat that back, is I'm going to take it and cut it right down the middle and cut the very top of that back off. Now, like I said, I'm going to save this piece to cook for him. Just got that oyster on each side. And this piece right here, I'm probably just going to stick it in the freezer for when I make, you know what, that's got quite a bit of meat. He'd probably like to eat that. It's got the neck on it still. So I may just fry that up too. Because there's, you know, no bigger than this, there ain't going to be much there for me to. I do need to make up some chicken stock though. So there's the back cut in half, and he will eat on that. And there's the neck right there. So what we got left here, besides the little bone somehow that I disrupted there, is the breast. I want to cut this in half. And you see this bone right down through here. You can take that bone and you can cut it just like that. and cut that breast right in half. And I probably should have had Mr. Brown sharpen my knife up a little bit, but it's okay. We'll get it done. So there you have your 2 breast half, just like that. Now, you can even half this again and make 4 pieces of breast. Say you've got kids that want to fight over the breast meat. Cut that in half too. So now you got 4 pieces. You're going to have 4 pieces of breast meat. So I've taken this about 2.5 pound chicken, and I've got enough meat here to feed. And if you want to, you can take the skin off of it too, but I like the skin when I'm frying it up. So there's one little piece of breast, and there's the other. And if you want to, you can take that wishbone out, or to help it cook faster, or you can leave it in there, either one. I just took it out. So you got a piece of breast meat right there. So this 2.5 pound chicken is easily going to feed 4 people. Depends on how much they love fried chicken. So we got that cut up. Let me put my stuff over here, because I will have to wash my hands. And when I get done, I'll have to clean everything up. So you need to be very sanitary when you are messing with raw chicken. I myself have never had any issues. So we got our cut up chicken in the salted water. It's just going to sit there just a little bit, hang out. I always like to put dish towel down, and then I even had just a piece of parchment paper down, just kind of all them juices and stuff that sometimes want to kind of get all over everything. So I'm going to take this dish towel away, throw this all in my sink till I get ready to use it, or to throw it away. Okay, I've got my oil over there in a pot, and I'm going to deep fry this. Now, a lot of times I won't deep fry. I'll just shallow fry my chicken, but I'm going to be deep frying it today. So I've got some oil in my deep fryer. Now, what kind of oil do I use? Well, when I'm frying chicken or I'm frying fish, I'm going to use peanut oil. And that's just the way it's always going to be, because if I'm going to go to the trouble of doing all this, that's the best tasting oil to use. There are worse oils to use, but it's not like I'm using it every day in my cooking, because I don't. I use a lot of avocado oil and olive oil and butter and lard. But whenever I'm going to fry up chicken, I'm going to use peanut oil. And so I want to get it started and get it, heated up. So what am I going to roll my chicken in? Well, I've done several chicken recipes, fried chicken, where I made like a batter, stuff like that. I'm not doing that today. This is just your regular old-fashioned fried up chicken. I am going to use some self-rising flour. Your self-rising flour has a little bit of salt, a little bit of baking soda in it, baking powder. But I'm going to add a little more baking powder to it. And what this does is it helps it crisp it up a little bit. It helps it, but more than that, it'll help brown it up pretty good. So I've got about 3 cups, probably 2.5 cups of self-rising flour. It's just going to depend on how much chicken you got, because you may have to double your flour and stuff like that. So I've got about 2.5 cups of self-rising flour. I'm going to put a teaspoon of baking powder. And like I said, this just helps to brown that chicken up just a little bit better. Okay, I'm also going to put some cornstarch in here. Cornstarch is known to react, and it just makes for a better, crispier skin outside coating to your chicken. So I'm going to put about 4 teaspoons, heaping teaspoons of cornstarch. Now, back in the day when I was frying up bunch chicken, I don't think using cornstarch was something that I'd done later on the years because I just seen somebody doing it. But growing up, we didn't put cornstarch in our flour when we was frying chicken. And most of the time, we just used all-purpose flour. And it was still good chicken. Okay, so in my bowl, I've got 2 teaspoons of black pepper. When frying up chicken, I like quite a bit of black pepper, or you can use white pepper, whichever one you want. I've got a teaspoon of poultry seasoning. I've got a teaspoon of dried parsley flakes, a half a teaspoon of garlic, a teaspoon of smoked paprika, a half a teaspoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to put all that in here in our flour. Now we have to remember that our chicken is over here in this salted water just kind of hanging out too. Now if you wanted to, you could have sifted all this together. I'm just using my fork, and it's already smelling like fried chicken. I ain't frying it yet. But that seasoning and the poultry seasoning is really what gives it fried chicken such a good taste to me. Whoops. So just get that mixed up pretty good. I'm going to check on my oil and see where it's hanging out at. And then we're going to come back and we're going to roll our chicken in this flour. And then we're going to deep fry some fried chicken. You know, Danny had a neighbor, Ella Mae. She lived a couple of farms down the road from him. They didn't have no children. They had a pretty big farm, raised cattle. But I can remember before I even had children, me and Danny was just married before I had any children. We went over there one day. I'll never forget this. And I was sitting there in the house with Ella Mae, and she said something like, "I always told these young boys around here that they better marry somebody that can cut up a chicken. If that young girl can't cut up chicken, you don't need to marry her." I thought that was so funny. I thought, well, I passed that one because I could cut up a chicken. We were raised, my grandpa raised his own hogs and butchered his own hogs. So, that was just part of life. I just thought that was funny. Why she said that. I told these young boys they need to marry somebody they better marry somebody that can cut up a chicken. It's funny. I took my chicken out of the brine, and it's still moist. It's still got some of that water on there. I don't want it drenched in water, but I'm not going to dry the chicken off because that's going to help with the coating here. It's going to help keep that coating on there because we're not going to be rolling this in egg batter or anything like that. So this is just going to help it. I'm going to start out with my thighs. And I'm just going to generously roll them in this flour. Nothing complicated. Set it over there to the side. Here's the other thigh. And the thing about frying chicken is I always would fry my thighs first because it always took the thighs longer. Of course, there's a little bitty thighs. And then I usually would have big old breast pieces. So I would fry them next because, it all is the different pieces of chicken are going to fry differently and get done at different times. So you don't want to be frying a thigh with your breast meat because what's going to happen is you're going to you know, maybe mess up and over fry your breast, and it's going to be tough. And so you just want to coat each piece of chicken. And my grease is pretty much ready. You don't want to crowd your grease when you're deep frying chicken. So you don't want to just put your whole chicken in there. It's going to bring the temperature down anyways when you put your pieces in there. Okay, I'm going to slowly put my chicken pieces in there. Always make sure that you are deep frying. If you're going to deep fry it, you can shallow fry it. But if you're going to deep fry it, make sure you put it in a deep enough pot with grease in it. This is at about 350. And I'm going to set my timer before I kind of flip them. Even though they're being deep fried, I still like to turn them for about 6 minutes. It's been 6 minutes that it's been frying, so I'm just going to kind of turn the pieces over. I'm going to let this cook, fry it for another 6 minutes. And then I'll check the temp on each piece of chicken. Okay, I just temped my chicken. And this little bitty old thigh right here was at 180. My thighs, I like to get them at 180. And my white meat, I like them to be between 165, around 165. So they are all definitely done. We're going to take them out. And let them just sit here and drain a little bit. And continue cooking our chicken. Let that grease come back up. Let's see. I've got some more white meat here. Because remember, I cut that up in 4 pieces. Then I've got these backs. I think I'll go ahead. It won't take them backs very long to cook. Put that piece of white meat in there. And here's another half of the back. Put my little favorite piece, which is the chicken leg. Now, we ain't going to eat a whole lot tonight. We're going to eat us, and we'll have leftover fried chicken. There ain't nothing that I like any better besides cold meatloaf. It's cold chicken the next day out of the refrigerator that's left over. I think I can get the rest of this chicken in here because all I got is these little old wings. Kind of separate them out a little bit. Get them off the bottom. Now I'm going to put my my timer on 6 minutes. So altogether, then, now it's going to take longer if you got bigger pieces of chicken than I do. Usually, if I'm frying, and I don't hardly ever fry a big old chicken, but if I was, like I did at school, they would fry, especially a thigh and a breast, around 15 minutes. I might do 6 minutes and kind of turn them over and do 9 minutes or something like that, but a total of 15 minutes. And then, of course, I would check that temp on that thigh. Make sure it was, the temp was good on it. And a lot of times before, them big old thighs that we get from commodity, once we cut them chickens up, a lot of times they come in already cut up. I'd take that big old bone in that thigh and I'd break it in half right down the middle. Sometimes I'd separate it just a little bit from the meat, and what that done is it helped that thigh to cook better, to cook faster, and make sure it got done down there, by that bone. So it's just little tricks like that that you learn when you are in the business frying a bunch of chicken up for a bunch of kids, especially. Because you got to make sure not only that it tastes good, but you got to make sure that that chicken's good and done. And I tell you what, we fed a lot of teachers when we fried up chicken. I took a little bit of that grease or the peanut oil that I had fried my chicken in. I took a little bit and put it in my skillet here. And I'm going to use some of this leftover flour. We're going to make us some gravy. We're going to have a couple biscuits and gravy. Let this flour cook just a little bit, and you can see that that flour that I used that was left over, it's got some of that parsley flakes in it. It's got the poultry seasoning in it. So this will make up some good gravy to put on them biscuits. I used probably a couple tablespoons of that oil left over from frying the chicken, and then tried to put the same amount of flour and put a couple of cups of milk. It'll be different every time you make it. This is I think this is a 10-inch skillet, iron skillet. A lot of times when I was making gravy for a lot of people, I wouldn't use all milk. I had to use a little bit of milk and about half water so that I didn't use all my milk up. As you know, groceries cost money even back then, and you had to make things stretch. I've even made water gravy before with no milk. I've used powdered milk and made me some milk up to make gravy with. Because as long as you can make you a pan of biscuits and you got some flour and grease, even if you ain't got no milk, but you got some water, you can make some gravy and you can feed your family. And that was a lot of people's meals back in the day, especially during the Depression. You couldn't count on having a good old gallon of Jersey milk. But you usually could count on having a little bit of flour and baking powder, and maybe a little lard. You had to be stingy about that too. And make you up some biscuits. Even if they were hardtack biscuits, it didn't matter. You could feed your family. So the gravy's just about done. The biscuits are in the oven. I'm just making a couple of biscuits. I am going to be doing a video making biscuits for two. And it's a different recipe. It's a really good one too. Just enough biscuits for two people. But the recipe, you'll be able to double or triple it, whichever one. I know a lot of y'all want more recipes for cooking for two. So I'm going to leave my gravy on low and just let it stay hot till my biscuits get done.
Marry a woman that can cut a chicken up and fry it too.
That's what they say. That's what Ella Mae used to say. Good old fried chicken.
Yummy. Biscuits and gravy.